America 250, the 250th anniversary in 2026 on American independence, Mike, and there's going to be a lot of patriotic flair in the speech as well. The White House believes this will be one for the ages. Buckle up, it could be a long night. As the president said, he has a lot to talk about. Mike.
All right, Daniel, stay tuned. We'll be coming back to you back here in the studio. Stephanie, what do you expect from the president tonight?
I think Daniel summed it up pretty well. We're going to hear a lot about the economy, about affordability, the way that President Trump, he has restored renewed hope for the American family to buy a home. He even said that he wants to make sure that millennials and future generations, that they're able to buy homes, and that was a big part of his campaign as well. I just want to talk about like gas and energy. We're seeing gas fall down because of his drill baby drill agenda, as we know, his famous words. And we're seeing the cost of eggs go down. We're seeing so many jobs being revitalized, and we are seeing more than $10 trillion in investments from big companies to make sure that they're creating jobs here in the U.S. as opposed to offshore production like China, for example. Affordability, I think that's going to be the key term tonight, because we know that Democrats are going to try to use the affordability tactic, but the economy, it's always the #1 issue. And I think we're going to hear a lot from the president tonight about how he's made it more affordable for Americans in every sector.
The last State of the Union, we saw Democrats behave atrociously. We saw them stay seated for a young man who had cancer, not applaud to these ladies who were raped and killed by illegal immigrants. Some other atrocious behavior by Democrats tonight. Alex, talk about that.
Yeah, we know right now there's probably going to be more than 70 Democratic lawmakers not attending the State of the Union tonight. Really not surprising. Like you said, we saw last year those signs of messaging with the Democrats really just trying to push their message and do anything they could to go against President Trump. Also, we're going to see some counter-programming events. We have the People's State of the Union going on simultaneously. That's set to be hosted by political commentators Joy Reid and Katie Fang. So it's going to be interesting to see this sort of boycott in real time. We talk about trying to be more bipartisan, especially in Congress. That's not bipartisanship. You're ignoring the president's message, regardless of how you feel about him. So I think Democrats are going to try to push their message in that way by not attending. And if you're not attending and you're running your own events, how could you really understand what the president's saying? So I'm really curious to see what they do on their side. And like you mentioned, also with 2025, them having their own message. But I wonder if they're going to bring any guests out. Anybody on their side to support their cause. It's going to be interesting to see.
What I saw was Democrats were going to have some quote-unquote victims or survivors from Jeffrey Epstein. Steph, what do you think will be the tone on immigration from the president tonight?
He's going to double down on everything he's done, especially what he's going to say is look at all these illegals who came in under President Biden, and look what he's doing now. He is going to tout the record low crossings that have been coming across the border. The CBP apprehensions, they have gone down significantly to historic lows, with January seeing apprehensions along the southern border plummeting to 93% below historical averages. This is an actual statistic from Customs and Border Patrol. So as we know, he's going to double down and make sure that an illegal alien isn't taking a job, for example, from an American with merit. We're going to see that continue. He's going to double down on Minnesota, Operation Metro Surge, how so many illegal aliens, they've also chosen to self-deport, especially after DHS Secretary Kristi Noem upped that deportation, the self-deportation incentive to $2,600. So we're going to see a lot of talk about that, the reinstated Remain in Mexico policy, and how he's ensuring that law enforcement can do their job.
As we're looking at Secretary Rubio, Scott Bessent, War Secretary Hegseth, Alex, he just got the recent ruling by the Supreme Court on terrorists. How much do you think he's going to talk about tariffs tonight during this? Well, we're thinking this could be a record-breaking speech tonight of almost 2 hours.
Yeah, good question. I mean, he always says he loves the word tariff, right? That's his favorite word. And we saw what the tariffs did for the U.S. economy. It really came back strong. So I think he talks about it, you know, with the Supreme Court there. It's going to be very interesting to see how he addresses that. He did say those tariffs are going to remain into effect for 150 days, not really going anywhere. Of course, when that 150-day period is over, sort of reconvene. But yeah, I think that the economic message, that's kind of what he campaigned on, to make things more affordable again. We saw the mess left from the Biden administration, still digging out of that. I want to make another point too. It's only a year in, and he's made great progress. I think people want to just snap their fingers and have this thing kind of taken care of overnight. But the president is following a slow, deliberate process to fix the economy, get jobs back, make sure these things are getting settled under 4 years of mess. Also, she mentioned something about the Minnesota, you know, the ongoing rampant immigration problem there with ICE. Another thing was the fraud, the rampant fraud we've seen, you know, and what that's doing. The taxpayer dollars are going to, you know, the fraud schemes that are going on in Minnesota and these blue states and blue cities. So let's see if he also touches on that, because that's going to be a real big point, I think, that Americans want to know about. That was such a big deal when we saw that uncovered. Is that going to be something he talks about?
Look, he got elected on his policy of immigration, okay? With radical change is going to come, you know, radical opinion. What was the difference between when, give the man a break, he's got 3 more years to go. I really do think he needs to pump this economic policy.
Well, and I think to your point, Mike, you have a lot of, because we didn't have social media just even, you know, 10 years ago the way that we have it now, but you go and see people are clipping sound bites of what President Obama said regarding immigration and ICE enforcement, but it just wasn't as well known. It wasn't as well known. But now everything is being cherry picked with what President Trump is doing. If it's not to their liking, and then they will make a narrative out of it. That's what we're seeing.
Obviously, a big topic tonight is going to be foreign policy. Iran, he definitely has to tout his victory in Israel and with Hamas. Talk about Iran. What do you think he's going to touch upon with Iran?
Remember, he touts himself as the president of peace. He solved world wars, you know, here going on. He says 7 or 8 world wars that he's solved, and so I really am interested to see. He's given Iran an ultimatum, right? He said you had 15 days to come to a nuclear talking deal to try to get something worked out. I think the last thing the president wants to do is put any boots on the ground in the Middle East. I think if he's going to strike, and like he said he might, it's going to be deliberate, it's going to be effective, just like we saw in Venezuela. Obviously, Venezuela being in our Western Hemisphere, but, you know, I think in this case, you're seeing a president that's so transparent, and that's the one thing with President Trump, his transparency, telling the leader of Iran that, you know, let's make a deal, or at least try to, or else. And I don't think you really see that anywhere else. So, yeah, I think most Americans, I can't imagine, are in favor of war or favor of boots on the ground, but when you're protecting our interests and you want to do it in the best way possible, I think the president's got a pretty good track record of solving problems, solving wars, and trying to do it the most effective way possible.
Steph, he's got some special guests in attendance tonight. Talk about that.
Yeah, so of course, one of the special guests, that is Erica Kirk, of course, the widow of Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA. And we really saw the Republican Party and Americans come together following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It was horrific. We know President Trump, of course, he went to the memorial, he spoke at the memorial, and it was just such a somber time. But at the same time, at the same token, we really saw a lot of people coming together, and they really want to push Charlie's vision. Erica Kirk, she is now the CEO of Turning Point USA, and she has vowed to do just that. As we know, or President Trump rather, gave Erica Kirk, well, for Charlie, the Presidential Medal of Freedom that was presented just a couple months ago. So really will be a special moment to see Erica there in attendance.
As we wait for the Sergeant of Arms to announce the 47th President of the United States, another special guest or guests in attendance tonight are the gold medal winners of the U.S. men's hockey team. But what I want to point out, okay, this is going to be a twofold question. First of all, everybody was so excited when they scored in overtime and won 2-1. But then when they found out they were going to the White House and then they were going to the State of the Union, all of a sudden the Democrat liberals' heads exploded and they had a problem. Here's my question. Last year, as we wait for the Sergeant at Arms. Last year we had, as I mentioned before, a little boy with brain cancer. Democrats refused to stand up. We had several victims of illegal immigration, well, girls and women who were murdered and raped by illegal immigrants. Democrats refused to stand up or applaud. Do you think they're going to applaud the U.S. men's hockey team who just won gold?
No.
I don't think so. Think about how unfortunate that is. You have a sporting event that unites the entire nation. The USA men's hockey team winning the first gold medal since 1980, the Miracle on Ice team, and that's still not enough to bring the Democrat Party together in unison with something that's so joyous as a hockey game where you're winning. And Team Canada was favored, by the way. You know, in the U.S. it wasn't a Miracle on Ice situation, but still winning in the way they did and how it was misconstrued.
I'm going to interrupt you. Okay, keep going, Alex. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it was just misconstrued. I mean, you know, you have the talking points on the left saying, well, you know, the women's hockey team isn't going to the White House. Well, they had an obligation. They couldn't go to the White House. They said that. And so it's just amazing to me how this gets spun around in every which way. You can't ruin a gold medal.
Alex, I'm going to interrupt you. I believe the Sergeant at Arms right now is announcing the 47th president.
Try a selfie.
As we can see, the 47th president entering. Kind of an interesting scenario right there, shaking the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court. You know, we are waiting if he says anything pertaining to that decision on the tariffs recently, which we know the 47th president was not happy about. I personally believe he should stay away from it. What do you think, Stephanie? Do you think he will address it?
I think he will more address the Supreme Court and the justices on the Supreme Court. He will, of course, talk about that tariff ruling, as we know. Also, I do want to point out that is George Washington's gavel that they carried to the Capitol for the State of the Union. But I absolutely think he's going to talk about the justices and say how they're not in favor of his agenda. So we'll have to see what happens.
George Washington, of course, holding the first State of the Union in 1785, not in D.C., but in New York. Little fun fact for you guys.
Yeah, and Mike, to answer your question previously, I think he's going to talk about the tariffs. I don't think he's going to avoid it. I think he's going to mention it and talk about how he's still doubling down on making sure they go through.
And most bettors or casinos or whatever you want to call them are saying this will be the longest State of the Union in history. The previous record holder, Jimmy Carter, 1981, 33,667 words, the equivalent of how many words my ex-girlfriend would say in a day.
I hope she's watching. I hope she's watching.
I had to get that out. Sorry about that if you're watching. As soon as he takes the podium, of course, we'll take him live. And the shortest State of the Union was also by George Washington in 1790, only 1,089 words.
Wow.
No teleprompters back then.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Off the cuff.
And just to give viewers some perspective, just remember last year his joint session to Congress address, that was 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Members of Congress have
Here we go.
the privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's really an honor. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, First Lady of the United States. Second Lady of the United States. Members of Congress and my fellow Americans, our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before. Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide-open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today our border is secure. Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before. After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year. And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%. Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline. Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since I took office. 1 year. And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem while at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both. And we are going to keep it that way. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. Think of that. 1 year. Boosting pensions, 401ks, and retirement accounts for the millions and millions of Americans. They're all gaining. Everybody's up, way up. In 4 long years, the last administration got less than $1 trillion in new investment in the United States. And when I say less, substantially less. In 12 months, I secured commitments for more than $18 trillion pouring in from all over the globe. Think of it, much less than $1 trillion for 4 years versus much more than $18 trillion for 1 year. What a difference a president makes. A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest. As thousands of new businesses are forming and factories, plants, and laboratories are being built, we have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching. American oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and we just received from our new friend and partner, Venezuela, more than 80 million barrels of oil. American natural gas production is at an all-time high because I kept my promise to drill, baby, drill. More Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think about that. Any time in the history of our country, more working today, and 100% of all jobs created under my administration have been in the private sector. We ended DEI in America. We cut a record number of job-killing regulations, and in 1 year we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps. And for all of these reasons, I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. Ladies. That's the first time I've ever seen them get up. And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House. They were in the Oval Office before, and I just want to say a second very big congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck. Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off, you practiced that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best, and I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. I said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no, and every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much. I'm also pleased to say that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics, and it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to be safe, just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. And this year, and I must say I got them both. I got them in my first term, And I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I've got them because I got the Olympics and I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup. So we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming. And that is exciting news. So this will be a year to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II, serving in the Pacific under the great General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday. So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas, one of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one. As the waters threatened to sweep her away, 11-year-old Millie Kate McClelland closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, a young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class. And he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate. And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you. And I'd like to have the military aide to please come down and take care of the service. Military aide, thank you very much. Take care of that very important service. Thank you very much. From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans. All Democrats, every single one of them, voted against these really important and very necessary massive tax cuts. They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead. But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we also made interest on auto loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America. Recently in Pennsylvania, I met Megan Hemhauser, a devoted mom who's homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night as her husband works overtime operating very heavy equipment. Megan is here this evening, and she's happy to tell you that she is so much richer because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and our expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her husband will take home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it. I did not name that. Nobody believes me, but I did not name it. It was named by a very tall man sitting right there in the third row. Nice man, a good man. Tax-free investment accounts for every American child. This is something that's so special and has taken off and gone through the roof. Millions will be pre-funded courtesy of the U.S. Treasury and private individuals like Michael and Susan Dell, who have donated $6.25 billion to fund the Trump accounts for 25 million American children. They're great people. When I asked Michael Dell, how do you make all that money? He said, well, I just sat on my dorm in school and I made computers, and I'd sell them to people. And I just kept selling and selling and selling. And pretty amazing story. That's called the American dream. He sold a lot of computers, a lot of those laptops. So I congratulate him on that. But I really thank him and Susan, as well as others like Brad Gerstner, a very tremendous guy. He was behind it right from the beginning. Brad Gerstner. Thank you, Brad. So with modest additional contributions, these young people's accounts could grow to over $100,000 or more by the time they turn 18. Think of it. How much money is that for somebody that started with nothing? Over 100,000, could be much more than that. To make this investment in our children's future, go to TrumpAccounts.gov, TrumpAccounts.gov. And a lot of people are doing it. It's setting every record in the book. It's popular. They knew what it was going to take. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of the people that got it started. And now it's just taken off. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth, and the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country-saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace-protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time-tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Right? Moving forward, factories, jobs, investment, and trillions of dollars will continue pouring into the United States of America because we finally have a president who puts America first. I put America first. I love America. For decades before I came along, we had the exact opposite. From trade to health care, from energy to immigration, everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. They were murderers, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly use the word affordability, a word they just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem. They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting downward. The price of eggs is down 60%, Madam Secretary. Thank you. The cost of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles, rent is lower today than when I took office by a lot. And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while. We're getting it down. And soon you will see numbers that few people would think were possible to achieve just a short time ago. Nobody can believe when they see the kind of numbers, and especially energy, when they see energy going down to numbers like that, they cannot believe it. It's like another big tax cut. I'm also confronting one of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care caused by you. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance companies have gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great health care plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be better health care at a much lower cost. In addition, my plan requires maximum price transparency. That's a big deal. Sounds so simple, so big. And I did that in my first term, and the Democrats immediately terminated it with full knowledge that they were doing a very bad thing for the people. Costs were going to go way up, and that's what happened, and now I'm bringing them way down on health care and everything else. I'm also ending the wildly inflated cost of prescription drugs like has never happened before. Other presidents tried to do it, but they never could. They tried. Most didn't try, actually. But they tried. They said they tried. They couldn't do it. They didn't even come close. They were all talk and no action, but I got it done. Under my just enacted most favored nation agreements, Americans who have for decades paid by far the highest prices of any nation anywhere in the world for prescription drugs will now pay the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. Anywhere. The lowest price. So in my first year of the second term, should be my third term, But strange things happen. I took prescription drugs, a very big part of health care, from the highest price in the entire world to the lowest. That's a big achievement. The result is price differences of 300, 400, 500, 600% and more, all available right now at a new website called TrumpRx.gov. And I didn't name that one either, by the way. And here tonight is the very first customer ever to get that big discount, and it is big, Catherine Rayner. For 5 years, she and her husband have struggled with infertility, and they turned to IVF. One drug has been costing Catherine $4,000 to purchase, but a few weeks ago, she logged onto the TrumpRx website and got that same drug that cost $4,000, got it for under $500. A reduction of much more, actually, than $3,500. Catherine, we are all praying for you, and you're going to be a great mom. So now I'm calling on Congress to codify my most favored nation program into law. Now, the one thing, I'm not sure it matters because it's going to be very hard for somebody that comes along after me to say, let's raise drug prices by 700 or 800%. But John and Mike, if you don't mind, codify it anyway. They may do it. Codify it anyway. Thank you. Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory so that no one's prices will go up. And in many cases, prices of electricity will go down for the community, and very substantially down. This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. It will ensure the company's ability to get electricity while at the same time lowering prices of electricity for you, and could be very substantial for all of you cities and towns. You're going to see some good things happen over the next number of years. Another pillar of the American dream that has been under attack is home ownership. With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of two from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated. Stories like this are why last month I signed executive order to ban large Wall Street investment firms from buying up in the thousands single-family homes. And now I'm asking Congress to make that ban permanent, because homes for people, really, that's what we want. We want homes for people, not for corporations. Corporations are doing just fine. Rachel, thank you very much. Good luck with your home. You'll get one soon. We're also working to make it easier for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our seniors. We will always protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Since I took office, the typical 401k balance is up by at least $30,000. That's a lot of money. We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records. Your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer. To remedy this gross disparity, I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year. As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay. I wasn't sure if anybody even on this side was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. But when it comes to the corruption that is plundering, it's plundering America. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe. So tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. We'll get it done. And if we're able to find enough of that fraud, we will actually have a balanced budget overnight. It'll go very quickly. That's the kind of money you're talking about. We'll balance our budget. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games. Delilah. Delilah Colvin was only 5 years old in June 2024 when a 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk, have a good life. She wouldn't even be able to eat again. But against all odds, she is now in the first grade learning to walk. And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Thank you, Delilah. Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And yesterday, as you probably saw at the White House, I hosted a ceremony with Americans who lost their treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration. People came into our country, how we allowed this to happen with our open borders. These are the angel moms and families that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored. It was terrible. Hard to believe, actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life, violently and viciously. Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals for our country at record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you. We can never forget that many in this room not only allowed the border invasion to happen before I got involved, but indeed they would do it all over again if they ever had the chance. If they ever got elected, they would open up those borders to some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. The only thing standing between Americans and a wide open border right now is President Donald J. Trump and our great Republican patriots in Congress. Thank you. Thank you. As we speak, Democrats in this chamber have cut off all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's all cut off. It's all cut off. They have instituted another Democrat shutdown, the first one costing us 2 points on GDP. 2 points we lost on GDP, which probably made them quite happy, actually. Now they have closed the agency responsible for protecting Americans from terrorists and murderers. Tonight I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States, and also for helping people clean up their snow. We have no money because of the Democrats, and it would be nice. We'd love to give you a hand at cleaning it up, but you gave no money. Nobody's getting paid. It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, a pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act. To stop illegal aliens and others who are unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. That cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None. And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens. And the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated. And their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John. And here is one more opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle. In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full-ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up. And thank you for your great bravery. And who can believe that we're even speaking about things like this? 15 years ago, if somebody was up here and said that, they'd say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy, I'm telling you. They're crazy. Amazing. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? No one cares more about protecting America's youth than our wonderful First Lady. Now a movie star. She's a movie star. Can you believe it? Who would have believed that? Over the past year, she has had an incredible impact championing AI legislation, advancing a landmark executive order on foster care, and helping secure $30 million to launch the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. It's a tremendous, really a tremendous thing that happened and had a lot of bipartisan support. She gets much better bipartisan support than I do. I get none. She gets a lot. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you did that. And students and educators in every state have joined the First Lady's efforts in the presidential AI challenge, keeping America's next generation positioned to succeed and strongly succeed in the future. Tonight we welcome two young people whose lives reflect the First Lady's impact, Sierra Burns and Everest Nevermont. Thank you both, and Melania, thank you. I know how hard you worked on it. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand. Thank you, Erica. Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see. Above all, unleashing America's promise requires keeping our communities safe. We have made incredible strides, yet dangerous repeat offenders continue to be released by pro-crime Democrat politicians again and again. We are honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Anya Zarutska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman, Irina, fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail, stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zarutska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there. Starting last summer, I deployed our National Guard and federal law enforcement to restore law and order to our most dangerous cities, including Memphis, Tennessee, big success, New Orleans, Louisiana, big success, and our nation's capital itself, Washington, D.C., where we have almost no crime anymore in Washington, D.C. How did that happen? In fact, crime in Washington is now at the lowest level ever recorded, and murders in D.C. this January were down close to 100% from a year ago. They don't like to hear that. One of the sick people, one of the brave service members who helped achieve this stunning turnaround was 20-year-old West Virginia Army National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. After a 4-month deployment, she voluntarily extended her service, and her rank was going to be lifted. She was doing so well. They were so proud of her. But the very next day, she was on patrol near the White House when she was ambushed and shot in the head by a terrorist monster from Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been in our country. And all because she wore the uniform of our nation. She was shot. He traveled here because he didn't like people wearing our uniform. He was sick and deranged. Shouldn't have been in our country. Sarah Beckstrom died in order to defend our capital, and we are honored to be joined by her wonderful parents, Gary and Evalie. Your daughter was a true American patriot, and she will be greatly missed. She was a great person. I saw reports on her. They've never seen anything like it. So sorry. Thank you very much. A great young lady. I saw reports that were like, perfect. She was perfect. Serving alongside Sarah that day was Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The terrorist shot Andrew in the head, and no one thought he could possibly make it. The two of them, Sarah and Andrew, both shot violently in the head. Neither was expected to make it. They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night, and she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone, but his mother said, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay. This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying helplessly in bed, blood all over. Everybody is praying, she said, sir, he will be okay. The doctors didn't understand what she was saying, and after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melanie? She turned out to be right. Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much. So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late, great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart. We love you all. Love you. We're proudly restoring safety for Americans at home, and we are also restoring security for Americans abroad. Our country has never been stronger. My first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? You're sick people. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India. Would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jared. And I also want to thank the man they report to, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco. People don't like you. You know, Marco got 100% of the votes when he was in confirmation. I think our next one was about 54%. And some of the Democrats are now saying, I can't believe we approved that guy. And he said it's an honor that they feel that way. Right, Marco? You have done a great job, great Secretary of State. I think he'll go down as the best ever. Under the ceasefire I negotiated, every single hostage, both living and dead, has been returned home. Can you believe that? Nobody thought it was possible. Nobody thought that was possible. Both living and dead. And those parents who had a dead son, their boy, they'd always tell me their boy, they wanted him as much as though he were living. It was an amazing period of time. And they came back, and when we got all of the living hostages back, and many, many before them, but I always said those last 20 are going to be very tough, but we got many, many more, hundreds. But I said those last 20 are going to be tough. We got them back. But we only got back 14 or 15 of the dead, of the 28. And believe it or not, Hamas worked along with Israel, and they dug, and they dug, and they dug. It's a tough thing to do, going through bodies all over, passing up 100 bodies sometimes for each one that they found. Tough job. And they finally got it back to 27. And then Steve and Jared, they got it back to 28. They found all 28. Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it. And I remember the family of the 28th. They were so grieved, but they were so happy as it's possible to be. They had their boy back. The mother said, "Sir, we have our boy back." What a period of time that was, but we got them all back. So thank you both very much. Great job. And we're working very hard to end the 9th war, the killing and slaughter between Russia and Ukraine, where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that, 25,000 soldiers are dying a month. A war which would have never happened if I were president, would have never happened. As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian soil known as Operation Midnight Hammer. For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact. He was the father of the roadside bomb. And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like, 32,000 protests. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. And no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. We have the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so. Also, we just approved a $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to be strong, because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called peace through strength, and it's been very, very effective. So thanks to Republicans in Congress, we're investing that record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces. Also creating a lot of jobs, but we're not even doing it for that reason. Because, as I said, we have more jobs, more people working today than ever before in the history of our country. And NATO countries are friends and allies. They are. They're our friends and they're our allies. Have just agreed, at my very strong request, to pay 5% of GDP for military defense rather than the 2%, which they weren't paying. We were paying for almost all of NATO. Now they're paying 5 as opposed to not paying 4. And getting that 5% was something which everyone said would never be done, could not happen. We got it really easily with one meeting. And big difference between 2% that's not paid. We were paying the freight of many of them. Very few were paid up. Now 5%, then they're paid. And everything we send over to Ukraine is sent through NATO, and they pay us in full. They pay us totally in full. Every branch of our armed forces is setting records for recruitment. This is so exciting. And every service member recently. And every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. You know, they put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things, a lot of money we have. We have much more money than people understand. Have to rebuild that program a little bit, but it won't take long. But we got the money, and it was $1,775, and they wanted my approval. And I said, what's the number? $1,775. I said, wait a minute. For $1 more, we can have $1,776. It's going to... I said, we're going to figure that. I never asked anybody if we could afford it. $1 more. I said, $1,776. And I said, that's good. And I'll tell you what, our military, that was 4 months ago, our military, I never see a person in the military that doesn't thank me for it, so we're honored to do it. They deserve it. And we call it 1776. It was great. And we love our military. We love our law enforcement. We love our firemen. You know, the firemen don't get mentioned enough. We love our firemen. We're also... We're also restoring American security and dominance in the Western Hemisphere, acting to secure our national interests and defend our country from violence, drugs, terrorism, and foreign interference. For years, large swaths of territory in our region, including large parts of Mexico, really large parts of Mexico, have been controlled by murderous drug cartels. That's why I designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and I declared illicit fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. And with our new military campaign, we have stopped record amounts of drugs coming into our country and virtually stopped it completely coming in by water or sea. You probably noticed that. We very seriously damaged their fishing industry also. Nobody wants to go fishing anymore. We've also taken down one of the most sinister cartel kingpins of all. You saw that yesterday. In January, elite American warriors carried out one of the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history. No one's seen anything like it. Foreign leaders, I won't tell you who, called me and they said, very impressive, very impressive. They couldn't believe, they all watched, they saw what happened. This is a different fighting force that we had years ago when we fought to tie. You know, it's a great fighting force. I'm so proud of it. Look at Space Force. Space Force is my baby, because we did that. My baby is becoming so important. And America's armed forces overwhelmed all defenses and utterly defeated an enemy, good fighters, to end the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro and bring him to face American justice. And this was an absolutely colossal victory for the security of the United States, and it also opens up a bright new beginning for the people of Venezuela. We're working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, to unleash extraordinary economic gains for both of our countries and to bring new hope to those who have suffered so terribly. They really did suffer. With us tonight is Alejandro Gonzalez. She grew up in a tight-knit Venezuelan family and was especially close to her beloved Uncle Enrique. But after Enrique ran for office and opposed Maduro, he was kidnapped by Maduro's security forces and thrown into the regime's really infamous prison in Caracas. Alejandro feared she would never see her uncle again. She feared for her own life also. But since the raid, we have worked with the new leadership, and they have ordered the closure of that vile prison and released hundreds of political prisoners already, with more to come. Alejandro, I'm pleased to inform you that not only has your uncle been released, but he is here tonight. We brought him over to celebrate his freedom with you in person. Enrique, please come down. Thank you, Enrique. Have a good time. Nice to have you back, Enrique. There were many heroes on that January raid to capture Maduro. Really great heroes. It was very dangerous. They knew we were coming. They were all set. But the deeds of one warrior that night will live forever in the eternal chronicles of military valor. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Eric Slover, planned the mission and was the flight lead in the cockpit of the first helicopter, a big, beautiful, powerful helicopter. It was a massive Chinook carrying, as you can imagine, many, many American warfighters. Wearing the dog tags, his wife Amy had blessed with holy water before he left. She knew it was going to be a rough one. Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night and descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major military installation, protected by thousands of soldiers and guarded by Russian and Chinese military technology. How did that work out? Not too good. While preparing to land, enemy machine guns fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg into numerous pieces. And yet, despite the fact that the use of his legs was vital to successful helicopter flight, legs are the most important part of flying a helicopter, to deliver the many commandos who would capture and detain Maduro was the only thing Eric was thinking about. Then, even as he was gushing blood, which was flowing back down the aisle, helicopter lands at a steep angle. The machine guns stood right in front of him. They were right in front of him, 2 machine gunners who escaped the wrath of the previous planes. Eric maneuvered his helicopter with all of those lives and souls to face the enemy and let his gunners eliminate the threat. Turned the helicopter around so the gunners could take care of business, saving the lives of his fellow warriors from what could have been a catastrophic crash deep in enemy territory. Only after safely landing the helicopter with all the warriors aboard in the exact right spot, which was vital to the mission, we probably would have had to maybe cancel the mission if that didn't happen. Eric told his co-pilot, also wounded but not as gravely, to take over. I'm about ready to pass out. The success of the entire mission and the lives of his fellow warriors hinge on Eric's ability to take the searing pain. It was unbelievable what's happened to his legs of the bullets and keep on flying and landing, and people knew what was happening. Everybody in the back of the helicopter knew because they saw the blood pouring down the aisle. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight with his wife, Amy. Eric and Amy, come on in. So we have a surprise for Eric and Amy. In recognition of Eric's actions above and beyond the call of duty, I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor. Well, thank you very much, Eric and Amy. Great to get to know you. I met with them and with a lot of their fellow warriors at Fort Bragg recently. You notice the name Fort Bragg. We have it back. We brought it back. We won the First World War with it, the Second World War with it, and then they decided to change the name. So we changed it back. Everybody wanted to change back, too. And 10 of Eric's fellow warriors from that incredible night of victory will also be receiving medals at a private ceremony that will soon be held at the White House. And Eric will be there. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. That's a big one. Tonight we've celebrated many truly extraordinary American patriots, but there is one last living legend to honor before we go. He is one more heroic American aviator, Navy fighter pilot. Royce Williams served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, flying more than 220 missions. In the skies over Korea in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime, legendary dogfight. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed by 7 Soviet fighter planes. It was his first aerial combat of the war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife, but the legend grew and grew. But tonight, at 100 years old, this brave Navy captain is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He was a legend long before this evening. Royce, please stand up, and I will ask the First Lady of the United States to present Captain Royce Williams with his Congressional Medal of Honor. Thank you, Royce, and thank you, Eric. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday. But you know, that's our highest honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and that's a big thing, and it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you both very much, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. 250 years is a long time in the life of a nation, but in another sense, it's really a mere moment in the eye of history. Two of the gentlemen we met in the gallery this evening took their first breaths 1 century ago, 100 years before that, on July 4th, 1826, the author of the Declaration of Independence, brilliant, Thomas Jefferson, drew his last breath. Just a single long human lifespan separates the giants who declared and won our independence from the heroes who stand among us tonight. Everything our nation has done, everything we have achieved, has been the work of those few great lifetimes. In those brief chapters, Americans built this nation from 13 humble colonies into the pinnacle of human civilization and human freedom, the strongest, wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in all of history. Americans ventured out across the daunting and dangerous continent. We carved paths through an unforgiving wilderness, settled a boundless frontier, and tamed the beautiful but very, very dangerous Wild West. From empty marshes and wide open plains, we raised up the world's greatest cities. Together, we mastered the world's mightiest industries and shattered history's monstrous tyrannies. And we liberated millions from the chains of fascism, communism, oppression, and terror. Americans lifted humanity into the skies on the wings of aluminum and steel. And then we launched mankind into the stars on rockets powered by sheer American will and unyielding American pride. We wired the globe with our ingenuity. We captivated the planet with American culture. And now we are pioneering the next great American breakthroughs that will change the entire world. All of this and so much more is the enduring legacy, unmatched glory of the hardworking patriots who built and defended this country and who still carry the hopes and freedoms on all of humanity's backs. For years they were forgotten, betrayed, and cast aside. But that great betrayal is over, and they will never be forgotten again. Because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay, we've been listening to the 47th President Donald Trump's State of the Union. The speech beginning at 9:11 Eastern Time, wrapping up 10:59 Eastern Time, surpassing his joint session address of 1 hour and 39 minutes back last February. And as we await the Democrat rebuttal from Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger, we'll bring back in Alex and Stephanie. Stephanie, you first. What was your takeaway from tonight?
Wow, there were a lot of takeaways. I think definitely when he presented the Medal of Honor to those two veterans, I mean, well, one of them is still in the military, that the U.S. Army captain helicopter pilot. That was certainly a highlight. And then that Navy captain that we saw, Royce Williams, and Eric Slover being the former. Those were definitely some highlights. That was an incredible moment. I think also too, we were talking about earlier, the men's hockey, the U.S. men's hockey team, whether they would receive a standing ovation from Democrats, and they did. And you know, that's what America is all about. It's about, you can differ on policy issues and everything, but let's agree that America, at the end of the day, we should all be on, we're all on the same team, right? I mean, that's what it was all about. But the economy, especially with the Trump accounts that he mentioned, and how core inflation itself is 2.4% in January, the lowest it's been in a very long time. And of course, you have to think of all the jobs that he created. And he even said, all the jobs that I've created under my administration so far, they've all been created in the private sector. That was really important.
Started strong, talking about the golden age of America. Of course, 1 minute in, you saw Al Green and his cane get up and leave. He's talked about how we are respected like never before. Our border is secure. Fentanyl down, gas down. Jobs are being created in the private sector. We've ended DEI. We need voter ID, proof of citizenship. That's a no-brainer. Mom Donnie's he's asking people for ID to shovel snow right now. The state of our union right now is very strong. Alex, what was your takeaway?
Calm, cool, collected. Golden age of America. That's what President Trump highlighted. All the key achievements that he's achieved in the first year. I mean, really hammered that home. You know, he didn't waste a lot of time lobbying attacks against the left and their policies or lack thereof. He really did a good job of highlighting success and really touted what he's done in his second administration here. I love the bow that he puts on that, Mike. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues. Why? He said because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the hearts of every American patriot. A couple things, too. We talked before he was speaking. One interesting takeaway was now naming Vice President J.D. Vance to lead the war on fraud. He's going to go after fraudsters in Minnesota, in California, and who knows how many other states that have been dabbling in fraud with those taxpayer dollars. So I thought it was fantastic. I mean, a total home run from President Trump.
And that was at the exact time where the camera basically cut to Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, who started yelling at the president. I don't want to repeat what they were saying because it's beneath me. I thought for the most part, I think he went after Pelosi one time. He talked about the Democrats one time not standing up. He said, you know, he made a comment. He made a very small comment about the Supreme Court, but for the most part, I thought he was very dignified, Stephanie.
I agree. I was expecting him to really hammer the Supreme Court justices because of that latest tariff ruling. We know that was a blow to him, a blow to his administration. But as you mentioned, he really talked about the wins of his administration so far. He didn't waste time. Really, he did attack President Biden for his previous administration and what the chaos that was created under them. But for the most part, like you said, I mean, it was really well presented the way that he went about his State of the Union address. I think it was, he had his joint address to Congress last year, but it was a stark contrast to seeing what he's done over the past year and marking those accomplishments and noting those stories that we're hearing from the American people, those guests from the State of the Union tonight, and really honoring those people. And I think also for people at home to resonate with them and to hear their stories. And again, to follow the American dream.
Alex, he needed to drill home the fact that, you know, the economy and the affordability right now, his polling is a bit down. But like we said, we're just a year into this thing. He talked about jobs coming back and how the economy is turning around. Basically almost saying, you know what, besides the fact that your gas is down and some of your groceries are down like that, just be a little patient, and this is coming back. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take time. It's not going to just happen in the blink of an eye. He's going to have to probably get another year into this administration, and then you'll see real change. But I mean, you mentioned it, Mike, the promises made, promises kept with job creation. He mentioned through the private sector, right? 130,000 jobs in January. Yeah, the Democrat talking point has a lot of, affordability and job creation, but he's highlighting the success, and he's kind of putting the numbers behind his talking points. And so, yeah, I think, again, it's going to take time. This is a slow process. Everybody's looking for instant success, especially nowadays. But I just really love how he hit home on all those key points. Also, going back to the Democrat side, he mentioned the Save America Act, the SAVE Act, right? Showing ID to vote and cast ballots. That is simply a majority America in favor of actually showing ID. And Mike, you said it with Mayor Mamdani in New York City, asking for ID to shovel snow. I mean, these are not, complicated issues. These are pretty simple. He highlighted that, and Al Green, again, just can't help himself from acting up there.
At the beginning, he didn't really touch on foreign policy, but later on he did. I love when he said foreign policy, saying he will make peace whenever possible, but will never hesitate to confront threats to America to where we must. Talk about that, Stephanie.
Yeah, I wrote that quote down too, because especially after Operation Midnight Hammer, he warned Iran to not begin producing nuclear weapons. And he says that he needs to hear that they will never have a nuclear weapon. He hasn't heard that. He says, I will never allow the world's #1 state sponsor of terror to have a nuclear weapon. We know that the Gang of Eight was briefed earlier today. It was interesting timing just because of the State of the Union address, which just happened. But it's definitely on a lot of people's minds, especially to see what the military has done. But we know that, for example, he has sent the USS Gerald R. Ford to the Middle East, and it shows he's really shown how he's put America first on the world stage. We see that, for example, with what he's done with Venezuela, capturing Nicolas Maduro, and then giving that Medal of Honor to Eric Slover, who was that Army helicopter captain. But going back to your point, with regard to Iran, he mentioned the protests, the killings of those protesters, and he wants to ensure that they do not produce a nuclear weapon.
There was some amazing people in the audience that we'd like to recognize. Award winners, the late National Guardsman Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, who were on patrol in D.C. He awarded them the Purple Heart. Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin. He was present during those tragic Texas floods. He saved dozens and dozens of lives. He was awarded the Legion of Merit. And then what a moment when the U.S. men's hockey team walked down the aisles, and he awarded the goalkeeper, Connor, am I saying this right? Hellebuck? Hellebuck. Yeah. The highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and he also awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor to Eric Slover, who was an Army helicopter pilot injured while capturing Maduro, and as you said, the other Medal of Honor,
Royce Williams.
Do we have it right now? All right, we're going to go to Abigail Spanberger, who has the Democratic rebuttal.
To take on the extraordinary task of governing themselves. Before there was a Declaration of Independence, a Constitution, or a Bill of Rights, there were people in this room. The people who served here ultimately dreamed of what a new nation, unlike anything the world had ever seen, could be. The United States was founded on the idea that ordinary people could reject the unacceptable excesses of poor leadership, band together to demand better of their government, and create a nation that would be an example for the world. And this year, as we celebrate 250 years since America declared our independence from tyranny, I can think of no better place to speak to you as we reflect on the current state of our union. Tonight, as we watched our nation's lawmakers gather for a joint session of Congress, we did not hear the truth from our president. So let's speak plainly and honestly. And let me ask you, the American people watching at home, 3 questions. Is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? Is the president working to keep Americans safe both at home and abroad? Is the president working for you? As I campaigned for governor last year, I traveled to every corner of Virginia, and I heard the same pressing concern everywhere. Costs are too high in housing, healthcare, energy, and childcare. And I know these same conversations are being had all across this country. Because since this president took office last year, his reckless trade policies have forced American families to pay more than $1,700 each in tariff costs. Small businesses have suffered, farmers have suffered, some losing entire markets. Everyday Americans are paying the price. And even though the Supreme Court struck these tariffs down 4 days ago, the damage to us, the American people, has already been done. Meanwhile, the president is planning for new tariffs, another massive tax hike on you and your family. And Republicans in Congress, they remain unwilling to assert their constitutional authority to stop him. They're making your life harder. They're making your life more expensive. They're even making it more difficult to see a doctor. Rural health clinics in Virginia and across the country are already closing their doors thanks to the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, championed by the president and Republicans in Congress. And tonight, the president celebrated this law the one threatening rural hospitals, stripping health care from millions of Americans and driving up costs in energy and housing, all while cutting food programs for hungry kids. But here in Virginia, I am working with our state legislature to lower costs and make the Commonwealth more affordable. And it's not just me. Democrats across the country are laser focused on affordability in our nation's capital and in state capitals and communities across America. In the most innovative and exceptional nation in the history of the world, Americans deserve to know that their leaders are focused on addressing the problems that keep them up at night. Problems that dictate where you live, whether you can afford to start a business or whether you have to skip a prescription in order to buy groceries. So I'll ask again, is the president working to make life more affordable for you and your family? We all know the answer is no. I grew up in a house of service. My mother was a nurse and my father was a career law enforcement officer. I began my career by following in my father's footsteps as a federal agent working money laundering and narcotics cases. I worked side by side with local and state police to keep our communities safe and to uphold and enforce the law. Law enforcement officers across the country know that it is a unique responsibility to do the serious work of investigating crimes, comforting victims, and making arrests. It's about building trust, and that requires an abiding sense of duty and commitment to community. And yet, our president has sent poorly trained federal agents into our cities, where they have arrested and detained American citizens and people who aspire to be Americans. And they have done it without a warrant. They have ripped nursing mothers away from their babies. They have sent children, a little boy in a blue bunny hat, children to far-off detention centers. And they have killed American citizens in our streets. And they have done it all with their faces masked from accountability. Every minute spent sowing fear is a minute not spent investigating murders, crimes against children, or the criminals defrauding seniors of their life savings. Our president told us tonight that we are safer because these agents arrest mothers and detain children. Think about that. Our broken immigration system is something to be fixed, not an excuse for unaccountable agents to terrorize our communities. After working in law enforcement, I continued my career of service as a CIA officer, working undercover to protect the United States and our allies from global threats, terrorism, nuclear weapons, and the aggression of adversarial nations around the globe. But as the president spoke of his perceived successes tonight, he continues to cede economic power and technological strength to Russia, bow down to China, bow down to a Russian dictator, and make plans for war with Iran. Here's the truth. Over the last year, through DOJ, mass firings, and the appointment of deeply unserious people to our nation's most serious positions, our president has endangered the long and storied history of the United States of America being a force for good. So I'll ask again, is the president working to keep Americans safe, both at home and abroad? We all know the answer is no. In his speech tonight, the president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another, neighbor against neighbor. And sometimes he succeeds. And so you have to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his policies, his actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress? Somebody must be benefiting. He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot. So I'll ask again, is the president working for you? We all know the answer is no. But here's the special thing about America. On our 250th anniversary, we know better than any nation what is possible when ordinary citizens, like those who once dreamed right here in this room, reject the unacceptable and demand more of their government. We see it in the determination of students organizing school walkouts all across the country, whose voices are becoming so powerful that the governor of Texas seeks to silence them. We see it in the bravery of Americans in Minnesota standing up for their communities, from peacefully protesting in sub-zero temperatures to carpooling children to school, so that their immigrant parents are not ripped away from them in the parking lot. As a mother of 3 school-aged daughters, I am inspired by their bravery, but I am sickened that it is necessary. And Americans across the country are taking action. They are going to the ballot box to reject this chaos. With their votes, they are writing a new story, a more hopeful story. In November, I won my election by 15 points. And we won 13 new seats in our state legislature. Because voters decided they wanted something different. Our campaign earned votes from Democrats, Republicans, independents, and everyone in between. Because they knew as citizens they could demand more, that they could vote for what they believe matters, and that they didn't need to be constrained by a party or political affiliation. This is happening across the country. New Jersey elected Mikey Sherrill as governor in a double-digit victory. Democrats flipped state legislative seats in places like Georgia, Iowa, Mississippi, and Texas. The list goes on and on. Ordinary Americans are stepping up to run in the spirit of our forefathers. They are running to demand more and to do more for their neighbors and communities. I know the story well. I first ran for office in 2018 alongside dozens of other Democrats who did the seemingly impossible, flipping 41 seats in Congress. In my case, I was the first Democrat elected in 50 years, swinging our district 17 points. Those who are stepping up now to run will win in November, because Americans, you at home, know you can demand more, and that we are working to lower costs. We are working to keep our communities and our country safe, and we are working for you. In his farewell address, George Washington warned us about the possibility of, quote, cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men rising to power. But he also encouraged us, all Americans, to unite in a common cause, to move this nation forward. That is our charge once more, and that is what we are seeing across the country. It is deeply American and patriotic to do so, and it is how we ensure that the state of our union remains strong, not just this year, but for the next 250 years as well, because we, the people, have the power to make change, the power to stand up for what is right, the power to demand more of our nation. May God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia, and may God bless the United States of America.
All righty, welcome back into the OAN studios. I'm Dan Ball alongside my colleagues, David Pollock, Riley Lewis. Big thanks to our news crew up in Studio C for their pre and post coverage of the State of the Union address. You were just hearing there the Democrat rebuttal from the newly elected Virginia Governor, Abigail Spanberger. It lasted just about 13 minutes. That was about 12 and a half minutes too long for me. Before we get to our reaction, and by the way, we are all opinionated talk show hosts, not news anchors, so this will be an opinionated wrap-up of the State of the Union and the Democrat rebuttal. So hang on for the next 30 minutes. We're going to have some fun. Gentlemen, welcome. I think these are my notes from her speech, one page. We'll wait on that. These are my notes from the president's speech. Shall we start with the State of the Union, which this year, by the way, lasted by my accounts about 7 or 8 minutes longer than last year's joint address to Congress. That was about an hour and 40. This was an hour and 40.
Which was already a record, by the way, right? Just what we saw last year already set the record. Is that correct?
Well, I think it was close with Jimmy Carter.
Understood.
In the 1970-something or 80 address. 80, his last one.
Understood.
He had, and the shortest one ever was George Washington. Yeah, his was a few minutes, way, way, way back in the day. My takeaway from the speech, and I'm going to let you guys have at it, and then we'll get to some notes here on what the president discussed, was patriotism, love of country, and dare I say, the word nationalism. It's not a dirty word to be proud of your nation, to be a proud American. And I think the president tonight, I mean, it sounded like a State of the Union met a Trump rally. Did you guys feel that way? Yeah. Like the president his energy was higher than last year, or even, I would say, the first 4 speeches he gave in his first term, 16 through 20.
Yes.
His energy was there. His confidence was higher than even usual. All the VIPs that he brought in that were up in the gallery that he gave awards to and mentions to, everything to me just fired on all cylinders. And very obviously noticeable in the hour and 40-some minute speech was the Democrats' reaction to what the president was saying, which we'll get to. I know, Riley, you were making notes on the minimal times that Democrats actually stood up and clapped for something. And by the way, when I say minimal, it was only about 3 or 4 times, and it should have been a few dozen. But anyway, David, let's begin with you. Overall review of the speech, and then we can really hammer down on some of the key takeaways that he said.
Well, look, overall, I think that's the perfect State of the Union, and not so much the speech, but it was sort of the symbolism. We heard President Trump talk about how the economy is getting stronger, GDP is going up, inflation's going down. He recognized heroes throughout our country, whether it be heroes in sports, heroes in military, hero parents whose children suffered at the hands of illegal aliens committing crimes in this country.
Angel parents.
And you juxtapose that to President Coyne / Abigail Spanberger's rebuttal.
12 minutes, 13 minutes of garbage.
And she sets out by saying everything the president said was lies, and then she goes and continues to lie for 12 minutes. So the State of the Union is this. There's 2 realities. And depending on what you want to believe, you will believe either Spanberger or you're going to believe Trump. But really, at the end of the day, the viewers and the American people are going to have to believe their own hearts and their own minds and their own communities, because people are feeling wealthier than they felt in a very long time. People's bank accounts are bigger. Their home values are higher, as President Trump pointed out. People are feeling
and prices are going down. I get they're not as cheap as they were 6, 7 years ago.
They're never going to deflate. That's bad.
Well,
we don't want prices to go so far down that people lose jobs and the economy
and let's
collapses.
Just think about the 4 years that we got handed to us from Joe Biden. Everybody forgets what Trump was handed a year and a month ago. Can we recall that? But before we do that, Riley, your take, and then we're going to throw it out to D.C. and check in with our very own John Hines. And I don't know if Daniel Baldwin's standing by as well, but we want to get their take. Riley, your take on the president's speech.
To piggyback on what David said and what you said so eloquently, this wasn't just a President Trump rally. This was an America rally.
Yeah.
This was celebrating the best of us. The heroes of the National Guard, including the National Guard troop who was shot from West Virginia in Washington, D.C., fatally, by the way. Where were Democrats celebrating that, recognizing that service, someone donning the uniform to keep us safe, to protect this country? So what I saw was a celebration of our entrepreneurs, our innovators, our job creators, people who are on the front lines every single day, morning, noon, and night, working tirelessly just so that we can have a country in the first place. And what I saw from Democrats Shameful. Egregious.
Thank you.
A lack of gratitude, a sense of arrogance and entitlement, and more than anything, this sense of being completely out of touch with the American people.
That's key.
They don't work for us. They made it very clear they work for illegal immigrants because President Trump said, stand up if you care about the American people more than illegal immigrants. Not one
That's right.
single Democrat stood up.
I love that moment.
Gentlemen, that tells me everything I need to know about this toxic Democratic Party.
Yeah, I same thing with you guys. Watching the president give hard facts, watching the Democrats not respond to almost anything he said that was positive, not responding to, as you pointed out, the heroes and other folks up in the gallery. And again, we'll get to the 3 or 4 times they actually stood up. I think you see the chasm between not just Trump and the GOP, but the majority of the American people, because this country is still a God-fearing, conservative, center-right country. It always has been, and God willing, under our watch and his watch and the GOP folks that I trust a few that are in that gallery, not all, but with our future, like JD, Marco, and others, it will continue to be. And you saw that massive chasm between the parties. One, based in reality and facts. That's Trump and the GOP and us MAGA America First folks. And then 2, the... I'll get in trouble and get us censored, so I got to watch the adjectives I use tonight. But think about what the Democrats stand for, right? They stand for higher taxes. Didn't you say while we were watching Spanberger from Virginia, she just raised taxes in her state?
Yeah, she's pushing for
that. But talked about affordability in her speech.
By the way, as is California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Right, and he's out on the campaign trail, and he's raising taxes on us.
As is Zohran Mamdani, the socialist mayor of New York City.
What happened to the free subway?
Yeah.
They went up $3.
My favorite part about tonight's speech, with you mentioned Mamdani, and I think Mamdani, and it's worth mentioning the fact that Trump was talking about passing the Save America Act, and then he pointed out the fact, and if you guys haven't seen this, you got to go look it up. This actually happened.
Yes.
They needed people in New York to help shovel snow, and in order to apply to shovel snow, you had to bring 2 forms of ID.
Yes.
A social security card
Trump
and a driver's
laughed at that and said, look at these people. I mean, he called them out more than I've ever seen him call out the Dems. He would look over them and go, look, what, no standing? Or you people are nuts, crazy. Or what, you're disgusting. Or shameful. He used that, shameful. That was a great one that you have to, again, if you want to get paid to shovel snow in New York City, 2 forms of ID.
Yeah.
But Democrats won't pass the SAVE Act where you have to prove you're a citizen and then show ID on the voting.
Well, the Save America Act.
Yes.
So the SAVE Act they didn't even pass, and that just requires you to prove you were a citizen.
Right.
And then
Save
the Save
America, we
Act
added the 2 others.
as the ID element, and both are stalled in the Senate, by the way. The Republican
trust me,
Senate.
I blame the rhinos too for that. They could nuke the filibuster and push
the
it
other
through.
day, by the way, that he's a no vote on it. Apparently, he's responsible for the opposition. Mitch McConnell. I don't even think it's actually him who's ever controlling. I think him and Joe Biden have the same operators, the robotic, you know.
But most importantly, he also mentioned, he spoke about why Democrats oppose the Save America Act, right? The underlying agenda to subvert the will of the American people. That's
because they put illegals before Americans, and you brought it up.
It's the promise of America. We choose our own leaders. That's how this works. That's what makes America great.
With an hour and 45 speech almost hour and 50, I think the soundbite that's going to echo tomorrow is him literally saying that who puts the American people over illegals? Stand up if you want ID and you believe it.
Yes.
And not one damn Democrat would stand up. I don't know any Americans out there, except the crazy liberals with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, that are going to say, yeah, they defied him. Most Americans are going to go, are you kidding me? You couldn't stand for that? And with that, we got a guy who's standing out in the freezing cold back in Washington, D.C., our chief White House correspondent, Daniel Baldwin, now with reaction out in front of the White House. Daniel, was this a record speech at an hour, and what'd you have, an hour and 48 minutes?
Dan, Riley, David, I clocked it in at about $1:47. I believe it is a record-setting State of the Union. I can confirm the president is, in fact, back here at the White House. He arrived shortly ago, and I received a text message that I think summed up the president's performance very well, and it read, Trump at his best. I think we saw a president that was very calm, that was very confident in his record, and confident that his record will age well. I think we saw a president who was appropriately empathetic when it came to unspeakable tragedy of Angel Mom's Charlie Kirk's beautiful widow, the mother of Irina Zarutska. American heroes who have gotten gravely wounded serving this country. Humorous when appropriate as well, but also optimistic in a future of the United States that he is ushering in under his leadership. And Dan, I think you highlighted the line that I think will stand out and will age very well for this administration when the president said, stand up if you are willing, if you believe your job is to put American lives ahead of illegal aliens. And I think one thing that the president did that was very politically smart, and also just what a leader should generally do, is go through and make sure that he gave the time of day and gave attention to people like Erica Kirk and the mother of Anya Zarutska. And one line that stood out to me as well, after he promised the mother of that poor girl who was stabbed on that North Carolina subway, he said that he would promise to bring justice to the alleged killer in that case. He stood and he looked at the Democrats on the other side of the aisle and he simply said, how do you not stand? That was a line that stood out to me.
Yes.
And that is something that he played very well. He highlighted things that are common sense. They're 80-20, 90-10, 95-5 issues. And many of these Democrats refused to stand up. And he even mentioned it, Dan, David, and Riley. He said this is an opportunity to see where you stand from a physical perspective, whether or not you were willing to get up out of your seat and pay respect to these people. And the fact that they couldn't, he even said, these people are crazy. But I think this is a speech that's going to age very well for the president. And I think this was an absolute grand slam, guys.
And also in that too, Daniel, he had just brought up that girl who detransitioned, and he was talking about how crazy Democrats push this transgender agenda, and that, I think, added to his fire of looking over and going, you won't even applaud that we got her back to her God-given gender and back to her parents? You're freaking crazy. You're nuts. I know that's what he wanted to really say, but he was being presidential tonight, and so he didn't throw in some colorful metaphors. But Daniel, I agree with you. This is going to be, unless he does better the next few years, this has got to be the best State of the Union from Trump so far. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I think it's just going to get better. I think tonight's tone can be summed up in one way. Trump doesn't have to run for re-election, unless a lot of people think he's going to. But he doesn't have to run for re-election. And he's sick of it. He's pissed off because these are the people that not only impeached him twice, not only put his friends in jail, not only went after his family, then they tried to put Trump in jail in several different places, put the entire weight of the federal government behind him. Don't forget the January 6 people and the stories you heard about them. And then you look at Biden's disastrous auto pen record and the people who suffered under Biden. Then Trump becomes president, and still, in the last year, no matter how many wars he stops, no matter how good the economy gets, they lie, they lie,
and he's sick
they
of
lie.
It.
He is sick of it. He's sick of Democrats. He's sick of their lies.
Show the American people what's up.
And the American people are sick of it, too. And so when you see President Trump in his prime, and the reason why everybody's saying this is President Trump at his best is because he sounds like we do right now. He feels like we do, and that's what makes President Trump so President Trump. When he came down that escalator in 2015, he said what we wanted him to say because that's what we wanted to say. And this version of Trump, 2026 Trump, is back to the original Trump, the pissed off Trump, saying exactly how we all feel.
Holds barred.
Exactly.
And I knew this. I said it last year when he won. I said, look, well, a year and a half ago now, he's going to be no holds barred because he doesn't, like most politicians, have to rerun. There's no re-election. There's no campaign. There's no sucking up the donors anymore. It's going to be full-on Trump and America first. Riley?
Well, and on top of it all, this is someone who's survived, at this point, basically 3 assassination attempts.
Oh, yeah.
And who's driving the crazies to pull the trigger?
Yes.
The Dems.
The lies, the propaganda, the gaslighting, the inflammatory rhetoric, they have radicalized a generation of people against conservatives, against American patriots. And what we saw, Butler, Pennsylvania, July of 2024, was not just a pivotal moment for this country, but a defining one, because we've seen a normalization of political violence by the radical left. They tried to kill him.
And then they tried to kill him. Hello, excuse me. Then they made fun, and they were like, wait a minute, the Band-Aid came off in like a week. Did he really get shot? He probably staged it. He timed it with this poor kid.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Who are these sick people? Like he said, they are crazy. Whether it's the trans agenda or wide open borders or acting like he faked his own assassination attempts, these people on the left are friggin' nuts. You know who's
Crazy
not?
and violent.
We got to check in with another one of our intrepid reporters who's, I don't think freezing like Daniel Baldwin at the White House. Our very own John Hines. I believe he is in the Capitol with reaction after the big State of the Union tonight. Mr. Hines, take it away.
Hey, Dan Ball, good to talk to you. Yeah, big night here. You know, I think you really put your finger on it, though. You talked about that line where the president said, stand up if you agree. The government is here to protect Americans and not illegal aliens. And so you had all the Republicans standing. The Democrats remain seated. And the reason that's important is because I think it gets to one of the important functions of the president's speech tonight. It was not just a policy tome. It was not just a laundry list of accomplishments. What he was laying out, what he was trying to do there, and I think he succeeded probably, he was trying to put out a platform, a campaign platform for the people in that chamber, those House Republicans, to run on in November, which is only 9 months away. Also in the back of his mind is his legacy, because he knows if they lose that chamber, it's going to be investigations. Democrats may even try to impeach him again. So that's very much something that he would like to avoid. He is very much about a legacy, extremely important. And that was on the line. And that question, and the one that came after it about sanctuary cities, was the cardinal rule in politics: have bright lines so you differentiate yourself from your opponent. That's what that was about. So he hammered away on affordability in the first hour in 3 buckets: taxes, health care and drugs, homeownership and retirement. And then he took it right to the Democrats. He looked him in the eye and he said, you have been lying about my record with regard to affordability. You caused this. I'm here to fix it up. And that was a message that needed to be delivered because he needed to roll out a campaign platform for himself. Not because his name is on the ballot. His name isn't on the ballot, but his legacy is. His legacy is on the ballot in November. He was trying to give a campaign platform to Republicans to run on. I think he probably succeeded in that pretty well. And I think, Dan Ball, you put your finger on it. It had to do with that line, or those 2 lines right there. He was really trying to make a very stark difference and give people a choice, saying this is what Democrats stand for, crazy, calling them sick people, and Republicans are the party of sanity. That was what he was doing right there, and I think that was maybe the fulcrum of that speech, was that moment and that question in producing and providing a platform for Republicans to run on in November.
John, what was your reaction to Governor Spanberger's about 12.5, 13-minute rebuttal where she starts off saying the president was full of lies, let me tell you some truth, but then gave no substance and pretty much lied for 12.5 minutes? John?
Dan Ball, I thought you never asked. Actually, Miranda Devine had a brilliant column, I think, in the Post today, and she called Abigail Spanberger a Potemkin Village Democrat. And what she meant by that is that she's fake. She ran as a moderate. She ran as a mainstream Democrat, a moderate, and yet she's only been in office for, 8 weeks, I think, and she's already basically okayed complete access to abortion. She's produced or signed off on a congressional map which is gerrymandered to favor the Democrats, 10-1. She just basically made it so that law enforcement in Virginia are not supposed to work with ICE, effectively turning the Commonwealth of Virginia into a sanctuary city, and she's proposed increasing literally dozens of taxes on everything from dog walkers to Uber drivers. That is not a moderate record. Those are not actions of a moderate Democrat. And so Miranda Devine called her a Potemkin Village Democratic governor. I think that's pretty accurate. She gave a speech. It sounded good to a lot of people. She's playing off the image of being sort of a soccer mom, somebody you see in the carpool lane after school, picking up the kids or whatever. But That's not her. And we are beginning to see that by what she's actually doing as governor, by her nascent record as governor in just these, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks. So a little bit of someone who pretends to be smiling, who actually isn't, somebody who is sort of doing a switch and bait, I guess you could say, with regard to Ms. Span.
Yeah, I would call it a bait and switch all day long. Literally, let me tell you, your president lied to you. Now let me lie to you for 12 minutes. That's all that was. And I think, I don't know if you brought up, she also raised some taxes, I think. So besides becoming a sanctuary state, besides saying let's kill babies, she also raised taxes. So yeah, if you want that kind of stuff in your neighborhood, vote for Democrats like Governor Spanberger. John Hines at the Capitol, I would say, is there any reaction from any of the members? But they probably all left the building already and are out celebrating and partying a heck of a State of the Union, right? There's nobody left but you and reporters?
No, actually, there are a few of them floating around here. I see a couple of them.
All right, if you get reaction, you can grab somebody. Let our producers know, and we'll come back to you, John. I'm going to get some more reaction here from my colleagues. John Hines, everybody at the Capitol. Thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, let's go back over.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep. Let's go back over, literally line by line, because you and all three of us were sitting in my office taking notes, listening to this amazing speech. And I'm just going to go down with an overview and just jump in.
Well, before we do that, I want to comment
ahead
on something John said, because he made a really, really excellent point, and I want to make sure it doesn't get lost. Because what he talked about, what President Trump is doing, was laying out a platform. And I want to pause on that and why that is so important. Because Republicans have such a hard time articulating Trump's wins. Instead, they always spend all their time on their heels defending against Democrat attacks.
Right.
Trump just laid out, as John pointed out so perfectly, the platform of how you win in 2026.
Yeah.
These are all the things that are going well.
He gave them the outline. They just got to take it and run with it and be on offense.
Exactly. And Trump laid it out. That's when he said the platform, that is exactly right. That is the Republican platform. Articulate what Trump articulated, and we win. Sound like Spanberger, and we win.
Yeah.
So we want.
But Republicans are never good at messaging.
No, but you know, he said something else that was really important too, and then I'll throw it back to you. Yeah. He said she ran as a moderate, right? I don't know what phrase he used. It was a smart thing.
But she did.
But
she lied.
Look what's happening with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Gavin Newsom.
Yes.
Now they're going, oh, we need to work on immigration. You know, there is, and even Spanberger said it. Immigration does need help. They're trying to pivot to the center like Democrats do every midterm cycle.
That's right.
And then Americans go, oh, well, they don't sound so unreasonable, which is why it's so important. Why President Trump said, these people are crazy. Yeah. This is what they stand for. It flies in the face of the lies that they're telling about actually how moderate they are when we know they govern like leftists. And I'll throw it back to you with that.
No, that is a great point, David.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you, who was running the pool camera tonight? CNN?
Yes. Yeah.
I was at first upset that they were taking way more cutaways of the Dems than Republicans. But then by the end of the night, as we all said, we were glad.
Yeah.
Because it showed them not standing for things you should be standing for, and we'll review those with you right in a minute, right? Number one.
Yes.
A couple of them looked like they were sweaty drunks, passed out.
Oh, yeah.
A handful of them sleeping. And then, of course, that Rashida Tlaib, the squad gal, and Ilhan Omar screaming like drunk lunatics at the President of the United States.
With Tlaib wearing an F-Ice pin.
I saw that, F-Ice. Well, and how about at the beginning of the night, I almost forgot, wait a minute, at the beginning of the night, good old Al Green, last time he was thrown out because he was waving his cane and yelling at Trump last year. This year he had a sign that said, blacks aren't apes, referring to that controversial video, which we all know. A staffer posted it. It was taken out of context. Somebody took a screenshot and tried to make Trump look racist. If you watch the overall video, give me a friggin' break. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Regardless, he got thrown out because he was screaming with the sign. I saw my friend Troy Nels give him a little business and grab the sign out of his hand as the sergeant at arms were throwing him out. So, Riley, you wanted to chime in before we start going down the fine points here?
Well, picking up on what David just said very eloquently, Democrats have also showed us their hand as well, because what we see with Spanberger tonight, with the lying, the gaslighting, and playing the moderate hand, that's their strategy going into the most consequential midterm elections, not just of modern American history, but maybe American history, period. Everything is at stake. I'd be willing to bet that they already have articles of impeachment drafted in case they win. That's how crazy these people are. They're obsessed with getting President Trump and fixating on it, and that's exactly what they're going to do is pitch themselves all over the country, local races, statewide races, critical federal races all over the country, and say, we're the party that cares about, LGBTQ plus Americans. We're the party that cares about illegal immigrants and the moms that are being detained or rounded up allegedly, right? All the lies. But that's what we have to be careful of, is making sure the American people actually get the facts and pointing to their voting records. Don't listen to what Democrats are telling you.
Yeah.
Look at their voting records
facts.
and look at the things they won't stand for. Secure borders, secure elections, tax cuts, no taxes on overtime or on Social Security. It's not what they say, it's what they do. Actions speak louder than words, and we have to show people who Democrats really are.
Yeah. She started out her speech with, let me give you three things, right? Three questions,
Yes.
remember?
Mm-hmm.
It was, is Trump making things more affordable for you? Is Trump keeping you safe? And is Trump working for you? Well, if you back up about a year and 3 months when Democrats were in control, let's talk about affordability. How did things get to the point of where they are today, where Trump's had to do the huge tariffs, right? And the cracking down on other nations not paying their fair share and getting rid of regulation? He had to do that because of 4 years of Biden-Harris. And Democrats making things skyrocket, like gas. Hello, we're in California.
Yes.
We've been paying $5 to $6. He's bragging. He saw it in Iowa the other day for $1.86.
Under Joe Biden, inflation hit 9.2%.
Thank you. And it's what right now?
It's 2.3%.
Under
It's under 1 now.
Trump said it was under 1 at the end of 2025.
Holy cow.
Amazing.
No, I'm sorry, not under 1, under 2.
And the next one, she said, safe. Do you feel President Trump's making you safer? Again, who put us in a non-safe country? Democrats. You left a wide open border. You left somewhere between 15 and 25 million illegals in. We don't know how many, but millions. Crime skyrocketed in mostly all the blue cities. Also, and Trump's getting it back in check. So again, lies. Is he keeping you safe? Hell yeah, he is. Is he making stuff more affordable? Yes, he is. And then working for you. Well, where have they been working for us? Because later in her speech, she has the audacity to say, you know, well, I was CIA, my dad was law enforcement, we respect law enforcement, and then rips ICE.
Yeah.
And says ICE is doing horrible things.
They were killing American citizens.
Right.
Ripping, nursing babies away from their mother and tearing children away from their parents.
And John just pointed out, she just made her state a sanctuary state. So you're like, I'm going to commend law enforcement, but I'm going to tell you don't work with law enforcement and rip law enforcement. And then she throws in the cover-up of Epstein. I'll simply go back to, this all broke in 2000, 2006, and 7. Who was in charge? W. Who took over in 08 for 2 terms? Barack Obama. They had these files. Okay? Oh, wait. Then Joe took back over 2024. You're telling me if Donald Trump was in the Epstein files and they had hardcore evidence, it's just like the bogus urinating tape they said with a Russian hooker back in 16. If you had a video of it, show it to me or shut the hell up. Same thing here. Let's keep lying. He's covering up. He's involved in Epstein. Then why didn't you bring it up umpteen years ago or just bring it up a year and a half ago before the 24 election? Because there's no there. They lied. And then she had the audacity to say he's corrupt after we've all been leering, learning, little pun in Minnesota, we've all been learning about 18 to 19 billion dollars of corruption in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're learning about maybe 200 billion in corruption in California, and it's the tip of the iceberg, and they have the gall. Again, listen to what Riley said. Don't listen to what they say, what they do, because tonight all she did was lie for 12 minutes and say Trump's the liar to try and cover their asses.
Well,
for
speaking of what they do, what's really interesting to me is who's been running Minnesota when all the fraud's been happening? A man named Tim Walz. A man that Kamala Harris picked,
president.
Yes, to pick to be her running mate. A man, so it's absolutely insane.
You can't write a Rob Reiner script like this. Anyway,
wow.
Sorry, not a fan. I know. Don't speak ill will of the dead. Well, that guy had a horrible past, so I'll speak whatever I want. Okay, let's go down the hour and 40. What did Daniel tell us? 47 minutes? Okay, we were a minute off. But you know, at least 2-3 minutes of that we're clapping. Right? He knew how to play that room tonight. When Republicans were clapping and chanting the USA, he knows how to read a room and run that room. So he began with saying right at the beginning and wrapping up at the end of the speech with, this is the golden era, the golden age of America. He bragged up the 250 years of this experiment, nobody like it on the planet, and then he ended on that. He then went kind of a big overview, right? Bragged up the economy, bragged up the border numbers, the inflation going down, crime going down, and reminded the American people what he inherited, which all of those things I just mentioned sucked. Crime was up, inflation was up, the border was wide open, and the economy sucked. Went into GDP, stock market. How many records have we set in Trump's first year in the stock market? And the Dow Jones,
50,
and the S&P?
50
some?
Yeah. No, 50 something. Yeah.
It's insane how many.
And we crossed 50,000. Yes. But we hit 50 something, 50 plus record highs and crossed 50,000.
Yes. Yeah. And 401ks, he said, are up on average 30K. Yep. First term, he was bragging about 401ks going up. Why is it only Trump can get our 401ks
well, and by
up?
the way, this is with tariffs. By the way, so
I know.
The tariffs were supposed to destroy the economy. Remember this? Now, 50 plus record highs and GDP is record. It's going up way beyond what Barack. Remember what Barack
Did
Obama?
I miss? By the way, did he throw a little dig at SCOTUS or not tonight? Did
not
I miss
really.
That? No,
he was.
I thought he might give him a little.
No, he just
you know,
looked.
It would have been deserved, but he decided to go a different way.
I mean, 6-3 on that vote on tariffs.
But no, but speaking of the tariffs, though, the tariffs are supposed to, remember the Panikin said the tariffs are going to crash the economy?
Oh, last March. Everybody's freaked out.
But
Even Republicans saw.
The stock market is trading higher. GDP is going up, record highs. How is that a sign of a bad economy?
Some other countries even agreed with him. Leaders, they were like, you're right, Mr. President, we weren't paying our fair share.
And by the way, we're raising billions of dollars in revenue, not from the American taxpayer, when you have Spamberger sitting here acting as if tariffs are a tax on people. That is a lie, speaking of lies, that's been disproven over and over again. The market dictates what people pay for things, not what the cost of importing them are. And look how much domestic manufacturing has increased. Look how many good high-paying jobs
by the
have
way,
been brought to America
let's talk about that.
of the tariffs.
Let's
Even
talk
the other
about
day, a
that.
Canadian company is now producing things in the United States because of tariffs.
Let's just comment on that, what he said here. We got to brag up what he said in the speech. 70,000 construction jobs since he took over. He's bringing manufacturing back. He also brought up that all of the jobs created, hundreds of thousands of them over the last 13 months since he's been in charge, were all in the I love that he threw in private sector. So no government jobs, no more big, huge growth in healthcare and big pharma. Private sector jobs. Of course, he had to brag up. We're the hottest country on the planet now. Everybody wants a piece of America. Oil production higher than ever before. And, of course, he had to throw in that we just got 80 million barrels or whatever from Venezuela.
Yes, amazing.
Natural gas at an all-time high. And this one, of course, nobody on the left stood up. No more DEI. Just a quick little jab about getting rid of that. Here's another one I'm sure liberals hate. 2.4 million Americans in his first year off of food stamps. And then he said, the state of our union is strong. That was just the opener, right? That was the opener. And then, of course, a lot of recognition tonight. And we got to bring up, because I think this was one of the 4, and Riley, did you write the 4 times down?
I did,
There was only 4 times tonight in the hour and 47-minute speech that Democrats actually stood up and applauded, not for Trump, but for heroes in the gallery or things he was discussing. And we're going to go over those 4 with this one first. So, the U.S. hockey team was there. Men's and women both won. Don't forget, over Canada, they were both rated very high. We have not won on the men's side since 1980 against the Russians.
That's right.
And they called that the miracle on the ice, right? So we had them in the gallery. They came down. That was one time, but not all of them. Trump even made fun of them. He's like, not all of you can stand for that one. But they did. The majority stood for that one. The 3 other times, Riley, I believe it was, he brought up it wasn't the SAVE Act about voting. They hated that one. It was about the stock trading bill.
Oh, the irony.
Funny.
Yes, the irony.
They stood up and clapped. And then he made fun of Pelosi. Wait, was she standing? Did Nancy Pelosi stand?
And she just sat there holding her teeth in.
Yeah.
Well, what is she supposed to say to that? Of course, we all know what's going on. 6 returns of 500%, 600%, 700%. It is completely unprecedented. She's out trading Warren Buffett on a day-to-day basis. With that kind of a record, even when the market's down, she's never down.
What was the other 2? Because he brought up so many.
Yes, we had, no nukes for Iran. So,
okay, they stood up when he said no nukes for Iran. All of them stood on that one. I was amazed, even though the majority of them were wearing their Ukraine pins. And the last one?
The hero pilot who helped us capture Nicolas Maduro, the dictator, not president, dictator of
But think
Venezuela.
about that. An American warrant officer, Army pilot in a chopper of a Chinook, takes 4 bullets to the legs.
Big, beautiful Chinook.
Yeah, he had to say big, beautiful. I've been
the
in them.
most beautiful Chinook.
No offense, DJT. I've flown in those when I was in. They ain't that big and beautiful. They're big. They ain't that beautiful.
One was the biggest, most beautiful.
Anyway, So they stood for that pilot who took 4 bullets for us to get Maduro out. By the way, a scumbag that their president, Jojo, put a $25 million bounty on, but didn't have the balls to go, pardon me, to go down and take him out.
Well,
but
can we
Trump
talk about
did.
the fact that he stood? He got shot in the leg. He had a walker.
He stood.
He stood. I mean, that's awesome.
Okay,
that's a real hero.
But
He
now
deserves
let's
that
go
Medal of
back.
Honor.
Let's go back to the times they didn't stand. We all remember the horrific video last year of the guy on the subway train, right, in North Carolina, stabbing that Ukrainian, since they care about Ukraine so much, that Ukrainian refugee, a beautiful model girl, Irina. What was she, 23 or something?
She was 23 years old.
Just in the net. Not one person on that train helps her. The Dems couldn't stand for her. Charlie Kirk's widow couldn't stand for Erica. Disgusting. The transgender girl that transitioned with her mom couldn't stand for her. I can go on and on. Hostages returned from Gaza couldn't stand for them. They couldn't stand for anything except those 4 times, and there was so many other things to stand for. Anyway, moving on. Of course, he bragged about bringing the Olympics and FIFA to America, bragging up the celebrations that begin this July 4th are going to be huge, and they're going to go for a year. Just like in 1776, I guess we had a year of celebrations, became a nation. So he wants to celebrate.
Democrats going to hate that.
Oh,
they're going to hate that.
It's going to be. I can't wait. I want to go. I want to go there on the 4th of July and celebrate with my fellow Americans. Tax cuts, bragged about that. Here's one we got to talk about, gentlemen, because in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen a president do this. And by golly, I wish somebody did it when we were all kids. The Trump accounts.
Oh, great point.
Amazing.
He thanked Michael Dell and his wife for putting in $6.2 billion.
Right.
If you're a kid out there and you start putting cash in right now, tell grandparents to put some in, the government's going to put some in. By the time your kid's 18, they could have over $100,000 in there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sandberger wants to talk about who's working for the American people now. Completely incredible. Unprecedented. What we're seeing right now is the gold standard moving forward for every single American president in perpetuity.
Well, and the thing about the Trump accounts is, this was, where the Democrats are always like redistribution, like let's tax the rich more. The rich are so evil. The rich, rich. A rich guy gave how many billions of dollars?
$6.25 billion
of his own money.
Yeah.
To give children an opportunity to become wealthy on their own. All children.
Pretty huge.
You don't need the government to take money from rich people. When you allow rich people to have money, guess what?
Thank you.
It helps everybody. When the government takes money, you saw what it does. Trump pointed out perfectly, by the way. What do? They give it to giant bureaucracies like healthcare. When Trump said healthcare is unaffordable thanks to the Democrats, that was one of the best parts. Because remember the longest shutdown in history? The longest shutdown in history was
days?
because of the Obamacare subsidies. And Trump sat back and said, you guys destroyed
Did you hear him rip him? He said, you
Yes.
cost us a couple points on GDP at the last quarter yet.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to call him something else.
But then he said something that Bernie Sanders would agree with, right? We're not taking the money from people and giving it to insurance companies. We're going to take the money and give it to the people.
They didn't stand for that one. That's the one. That's another one. So he talked, thank you, I got health care next after prices of eggs and milk going down. He brought up ripping Obamacare and saying, I want to give the subsidies to the people so they can choose what to do with it instead of big health care. And not one Democrat, I think maybe one, we were joking, 1 or 2 went.
They don't want to upset their donors. They're big corporate overlords. We know what's really going on behind the scenes.
They all stand for war, too.
Exactly. We know what their priorities are.
Right. Drug prices way down. He's got that matching. Hey, if you're selling that drug in London for $20, but charging us $200 in New York, no. Same drug prices. I liked hearing this because my hometown is about to get possibly a big data center. And we know these big tech companies take tons of juice and water for those big data centers. And so he said, we're going to make them pay for it. They're going to create their own electricity and their own factories to do it and not suck off of small communities. So I loved that. Social Security, I'll always protect it. We already talked about the 401ks. He brought up the fraud in Minneapolis. They did not like that one, obviously. And he made the announcement that he's now putting our vice president, J.D. Vance, in charge of, I don't know if he's going to be called the fraud czar, but he's going to be the fraud czar and go around looking for fraud in states. I'm loving that one. You already brought up Tlaib wearing that garbage. He blamed them for the shutdown, costing us all kinds of money.
And the DHS shutdown now, too.
The current one.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Right. He brought up, we got people standing here working for us that aren't getting a paycheck right now.
3 shutdowns in less than 5 months.
Secret Service, FEMA,
TSA,
Coast Guard,
yes.
TSA.
But you know who is funded? ICE.
Well, because they snuck that part in, right? In the other part of the bill.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. We already discussed the Yes Act. They would not stand for that, of course. And the trans. It was an hour and 10 minutes in when he said, these people are crazy. So if you didn't watch it tonight and you're just tuning in, go back, rewind it, start from the OAN coverage, go forward 1 hour and 10 minutes, and you'll get the best line of the night. These people are crazy. He honored his beautiful first lady, his wife, on all her amazing work with kids. Here's one more. When he talked about his friend Charlie Kirk and mentioned Erica, he bragged about, we are bringing God, faith back. You want to forget all these notes. You want to talk about left versus right? No, it's good versus evil. One party is with God and common sense, and one party is bat crazy and not godly. So I'm glad he's doing that. Crime, that was a big one. Bragged up about how D.C., the crime numbers are down, like no murders for months. And in Memphis and New Orleans, that worked. Gave out some Purple Hearts to the the guard members, the one that got shot in the head and survived, and the gal who was killed by that crazy Afghan that drove across the country and killed him. Talked about peace through strength, no nukes. Bragged up the $1,776 he gave back to our troops. That was great. Bragged up the Maduro arrest. And then right at the end, and I thought this was so great before he wrapped up with the 250 years again, he honored that 100-year-old Navy pilot. Hold on, I got it. Royce Williams with a Medal of Honor. That dude flew 200 and some missions in 2 different wars, World War II and and was almost shot down, landed his plane with like
263 times.
Yes. How many bullets in one mission? Insane.
And you know what we didn't see, Dan? And this is why winning in 2026 is important. We didn't see some lady holding her dentures in her mouth going like this.
Yes. Remember that disrespect from Nancy, I make millions off of illegal stock trades, Pelosi, when she ripped up the speech. We didn't see that garbage.
We could have that back.
We saw JD and Johnson actually chuckling, smiling, clapping.
So if you guys want to see, if you don't want to see that ever again, you got to get out and vote in 2026.
And as we wrap up, I'll just say the last thing that he said, which was so fitting and poignant too. For 250 years now, this experiment, the USA, has changed the world for the better. Yes, it has, DJT, and you've changed our country for the better. Gentlemen, I'll give you the final word before we throw it back to the news side of the house. Your thoughts on the speech? Nothing.
The State of the Union is good. Golden age of America.
Boom.
And
Riley?
As you both said earlier, very excited to see what's going on. There is no greater a blessing or a privilege than to be a citizen of the United States of America. And with President Trump at the helm, I expect only remarkable things ahead.
Agreed. The golden era, the golden age of America has returned thanks to President Donald J. Trump. I say, unless he tops it over the next 2-3 years, definitely one of the best State of the Unions in my lifetime from any president. The state of our union is strong, and folks, it will only get better. We want to thank you so much for tuning in tonight for all of the One America News pre and post coverage of the State of Union address. Thank you so much for tuning in. For these guys, I'm Dan Ball. We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Coming up on this hour of One America News, President Trump delivers his 2026 State of the Union address. Why he said the State of the Union is strong following his first year back in the office. Stay with us for continued coverage. Plus, the president demands a restoration of funds after a 10-day shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. Why he blamed Democrats during his speech. And Kamala Harris is not ruling out another run for the presidency. What political plans she may have in store for 2028. Those stories and more coming up on this hour of One America News. Hello and thank thank you for joining us this hour. Top story is President Trump breaking the record for the longest State of the Union address in American history. Again, the president addressed a joint session of Congress. President Donald Trump delivered his State of the Union address tonight from the U.S. Capitol, outlining his policy priorities for the year ahead and the direction of his current term. The president placed heavy emphasis on border security and immigration enforcement, calling for stronger federal oversight and expanded measures aimed at curbing illegal crossings and tightening interior enforcement. He also focused a lot on the economy, of course, policy pointing to job creation, energy output, and domestic manufacturing, even addressing some of the concerns many have had with AI regarding social media companies, AI being used, and how much energy that will be costing, how much energy that will be taking from the American consumer. And he says he is also announcing new measures to make sure that they are able to create their own energy. Domestic manufacturing was also one of the key indicators of growth, while promising continued support for American industries and small businesses. He brought in the winning Olympic men's hockey team as well, recovering West Virginia National Guardsman Andrew Wolf, who was shot in the head in D.C. on the day before Thanksgiving last year. Trump also honored the widow of slain Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk and the parents of murdered Ukrainian refugee Irina Sarutska. The president called out Democrats for refusing to stand. Take a listen.
How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there.
The president ended his address by saying that the revolution, which began a quarter millennium ago, has not ended, as the American people continue carrying the flames of liberty everywhere they go. And we continue our coverage, State of the Union. This hour, we're going to continue here. If you are just joining us, if you did not get to watch the President's State of the Union, we've had coverage now for a few hours. We're going to continue to bring you the latest. Joining me here at the desk, we have Riley Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. And I just want you to go ahead and really tell our viewers what you got from this message, what the president brought compared to his first administration. How can you break it down for our viewers at home if they didn't get to watch the State of the Union tonight?
Absolutely. Great question. First of all, you can tell there's a palpable energy shift with President Trump. He was extremely focused, committed, dedicated in his first term, but you can tell after everything he's been through, between the assassination attempts on his life, not just in Butler, Pennsylvania, but also at his own international golf club in Florida, to the bogus impeachments, the indictments, everything he's been through and everything he's seen this country go through, you can tell he's more motivated to get the job done, to work for Americans, to take risks, to gamble a little bit, knowing that he can secure amazing things for American people in record time. This is a man who seems extremely focused. He's dedicated to this mission. And really what I saw more than anything was a love for country. It was the patriotism, it was the nationalism, it was the love for our National Guard troops, for our military heroes, right? For entrepreneurs, for job creators, for innovators, for the people who've built this country, for the founding fathers, for the sons and daughters of liberty. It was really, really remarkable to see that. And you could just sense the energy and the love for this country. I haven't seen anything like that ever in my life.
And what would you say? And it was historic. It was the longest. That's why you haven't seen anything like this.
Yes.
It was the longest. So what would you say was the central message tonight that President wants everyone to take away from this?
Central message in just one simple phrase: America is back and it's better than ever. We're investing in American kids with the President Trump funds, right? We're lowering the cost of prescription drugs. That's going to help everybody. We've secured the border. No more mass illegal immigration. No more letting drug traffickers and human traffickers and suspected terrorists and gang members into America. We're working around the clock tirelessly, morning, noon, and night, to deliver real wins for real people. It's about accountability. It's about transparency. President Trump is a disruptor. The status quo has not been working for this country. I think most people can agree on that. And what President Trump was elected to do the first time and the second time in 2024 was to disrupt, what has been a toxic status quo, and America is better off for it.
Yeah, he committed to some new measures during his speech. He mentioned energy being one of those big concerns for many Americans. But going back a bit to immigration, again, one of the main focuses, not only from the first administration here, everything that he's been able to achieve. So what concrete immigration actions did the president highlight this time around?
Day one, securing the border, making sure that we have funding in the big, beautiful bill, right, for ICE, for CBP, for the men and women who don uniforms to actually patrol our southern border, sending money for surveillance equipment down at the border wall so that we can patrol who's actually coming into this country. And we see the results. Illegal border crossings down upwards of 95% or more. And then sending ICE into American cities, talking about things like Operation Metro Surge to make sure that we hold people accountable. So there are many different wins that he could point to where he said, these are concrete actions we're doing right now to make your countries safer, to go after the gang members and drug traffickers that are in your neighborhood, that are filling your streets with poison. Meanwhile, what you're getting from Democrats is holding DHS funding hostage, demonizing ICE, wearing pins on their jackets that are dehumanizing ICE agents. And on top of it all, making space for angel parents, parents who've lost children to criminal illegal immigrants.
We saw some of them there.
Yes, absolutely. And that's something I've never seen from any president either. So going out of his way to make sure that people who have been long ignored and forgotten were actually seen and heard and recognized.
Exactly. Now, focusing on that, he also announced on truck drivers, the big issue we've seen nationwide, illegal immigrant truck drivers having these deadly incidents. He announced a new proposal. I'm not sure if you got the details on that. What exactly did he say?
Well, with CDLs, and part of this is looking after fraud, but sending people in his administration to make sure that CDLs are only issued to American citizens, which is really interesting because that couples well with something like you're seeing in Florida by